Greetings, peace be with you. So in this video we are going to dive into the truth about being a lone wolf. Okay, if you are a lone wolf right now, know that it is a part of the journey. Okay, when we look at the prophets, when we look at the sages, when we look at the people, the legends, the luminaries that have had a positive impact on humanity, that have left their mark on the world, they went through a period of solitude. Okay, whether it was the prophets of religious traditions, whether it was the sages of mystical traditions, at the end of the day, I think it's all mysticism at the end of the day, tapping in to a higher source that is beyond our realm of intellectual understanding and can only be experienced. That time of solitude is a common denominator. Okay, because what solitude allows us to do is go inwards, right? Go into the heart and go into the feeling, which is the ultimate reality, right? Ultimate reality cannot be intellectually understood. It cannot be understood by the mind. It can only be felt by the heart. And the fact is that when we spend time in solitude is when we are tapping in to a source beyond all the distraction, a source beyond all the stimulus that's coming in, and we can actually look at what is true for us. So if you are on that spiritual journey, know that being a lone wolf is part of that journey. I remember my first awakening experience happened by mistake. Okay, I've shared this story on the channel before, but a lot of new subscribers coming in, so if you have not heard that story, I was scheduled to go on a trip to Amsterdam. Okay, so I was studying in the UK, and if you know anything about the education system over there, it's like a large part of the grades are based on your final exam. So it's like basically you can mess around for the whole year, and if you do well on the exams, you're all good. So I had a cousin out there in the UK. We're like, yo, let's go to Amsterdam, let's explore this new place, this new destination which we have never been to before, and the first time that we're actually traveling without our parents. And I booked my ticket, I booked my hostel, I booked everything, and we're all set to go. And then last minute, oh, got something over there. Last minute, my cousin's like, yo, my dad didn't allow me, so I have to bail over here. And that is the moment where I was at a crossroads. I'm like, shit, here I am, someone who is identified as being introverted, as being shy, who's identified as not good at meeting people, and I've booked everything. So should I take this trip or should I not take this trip? And by some blessing or the other, I decided to take that trip, and that was the catalyst for my first awakening experience, because I went into a new place, I went into a new experience that I had never been exposed to before, and therefore I experienced new sides of myself come out, and I realized that who I think I am is not who I am, because I thought I was shy, I thought I was introverted, I thought I was not good at meeting people. And at the end of 7 days, I had ended up connecting with more people than I had in my entire previous 17 years at that point. And that was the point. I was like, okay, I don't even know who I am. My identity is just a collection of opinions and stories that I told myself about my past, and if those stories aren't true, then who am I really? And that was the moment where I was like, okay, man, you know, this is a whole other realm which I have never even explored about myself. I don't even know who I am. And that was catalyzed through me going alone, me going through this experience where there was no other preconceived notions. And that's different from going out in a cave and spending time in silence, for sure. But it was triggered through the path of being a lone wolf, right? Going out there on my own. And when we look at a lone wolf in the wild, right, these crows are going crazy right now. I hope they're not as distracting to you as they are to me right now. It's just that they have a liking to me for some reason, and they're always like chilling around when I'm making these videos. But a lone wolf in the wild, why does he become a lone wolf, right? So this is a documentary that I saw. It's called Black Wolf. If you're into wolves, like, I deeply resonate with them. Definitely a spirit animal for me. And there's a documentary on YouTube, you can look it up. It's called Black Wolf, right? So they follow this pup all the way to the point where that pup becomes an alpha. But the reason a wolf becomes a lone wolf in the wild is because wolf packs are formed with the alpha male and the alpha female, which are the only two wolves that are breeding in that pack, and the rest of the pack is their children, and wolves don't interbreed. So anytime that a male wolf has an inclination to rise in the hierarchy, it becomes a lone wolf. It leaves the pack and it goes out to See, another pack where it can infiltrate and elevate in status and also establish its mating rights. So in the documentary, there's Black Wolf. He's a lone wolf for a while. He's making ends meet. Somehow he's hunting, right? Because when you look at a wolf pack, the strength is in the numbers. The reason that wolves are at the top of their food chain is because they hunt in packs. And that is what makes their effectiveness, right? So what I'm saying is that the purpose of a lone wolf in the wild is to elevate his status, is to find another pack with which he resonates. And this is something, again, I went through another lone wolf experience that I can share with you. And that is when I was in a situation where I was surrounded by people that did not have the same values as me. My highest value in my life is personal growth, is development, is improvement, is leveling up. And when I found myself in a situation where the people around me were not having those same values, when I felt like being around these people were causing me to succumb to temptations that I knew were not the best thing for me, that was the moment where I left everything behind. I moved to Vancouver, Canada. I had an apartment on my own, and again, I was by myself. But it's important to draw the distinction between loneliness and aloneness, okay? When we're lonely, like I experienced, I was by myself, yes, but I was escaping myself. I was always engaged in some activity. When I was eating food, I was also listening to a podcast. When I was walking, I was also listening to something else. When I was at the gym, I was doing something else. I had never spent time with myself. When I had time with myself, then I would go and browse some websites that weren't exactly serving me. I was always escaping reality. Okay, that is loneliness. When we're lonely, that is when we crave the company of someone else. But when we can truly cherish our aloneness is when we tap into the higher source of developing that relationship to ourselves, whereby we can spend time with ourselves. And that moment when I actually went all by myself and I wasn't exposed to this new environment, I was out there in my apartment all by myself, I was lonely. I was depressed because I did not have people around me that could support me. Yes, at one point it was like people around me that had different values, and then I was there all by myself, and that was the moment of true awakening, where I began to actually develop a relationship with myself. Okay, in Amsterdam, yes, I was still exposing myself to a lot of people. Yes, I was by myself, but I was always making conversation with people. I was always surrounding myself with people. I was always engaged in some activity. When I went to Vancouver, I was just in my apartment. I was in the suburb. I wasn't even that close to downtown. I couldn't go out there. There was like, it was difficult because I found myself in a situation where I just was craving to be around people. And at that moment, that was like another journey where I went to the dark night of the soul. And on the other side, I realized, okay, like I can be on my own. I can enjoy my own company. I don't need to always be listening to something or being engaged in some activity. I can sit here in silence in my own company and relish in that moment as well. Okay, so it's important to draw the distinction between solitude and loneliness, right? Aloneness and loneliness. Now, at that moment, since I realized, it's very important to keep the following quote in mind, right? It's a quote from Eddard Stark in Game of Thrones, and he said that when the snow falls and the cold wind blows, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Okay? Same way in the wild, the lone wolf, if he's alone his whole time, he's not going to make it out. But when he can go and infiltrate a pack, he can go and establish his dominance within that pack, he can become a part of something, establish his mating rights. That is when he establishes his ability to actually thrive, to be in his most highest expression. Okay, the mastermind effect is the most powerful effect that we humans can create, right? It's called synergy. When you come together with someone else who is vibrating at similar frequency and the sum is greater than its parts. Okay, that is when we have interdependence. When you are independent, knowing that you do not need anything outside of you, you are powerful on your own, but you can also come together with someone else and create something that is bigger than you could by your own, right? As I have mentioned before, greatness is a team sport. Nothing great in human civilization was ever created by a lone wolf, right? Yes, these prophets and sages spent time alone, but they didn't spend time alone forever. They got their revelations, they came back to society, and they left their mark, right? And with their team, they came together and were actually able to create that impact. So very important to consider over here, because for a long time I was like, yeah, I'm just going to be a lone wolf my whole life. I'm just going to make it on my own. I don't need anyone. But that caused me to fall, yes, into a slump at first. And then, yes, I developed that relationship with myself. But I realized that in order to enter my truest, fullest expression, it was essential to be surrounded with a mastermind. Okay, like-minded people that are vibrating on a similar frequency, in which we can support each other, in which we can bring each other up, in which we can rise together. And that was the point where I moved from Vancouver, Canada to Medellin, Colombia. And over there, I've connected with a bunch of like-minded people, and I evolved more than anything else, okay? Because one thing I know for sure is that in my life, the most that I have learned about myself is through my relationships. My most important teachers have been my relationships, okay? Because relationships are like mirrors. They show us sides of ourselves which we couldn't see on our own. And when we develop those relationships, right? For example, a twin flame relationship whereby you connect with someone on such a deep level and you are changed because of it and never the same. That is the first time in Medellin, Colombia, where I experienced something like that, okay? Because that is the moment you're like, okay, man, like actually developing and cultivating this relationship has allowed me to know more about myself than I ever could, okay? So that is the point. Yes, being a lone wolf is a rite of passage for every man, because if you can't be independent, then you'll be needy, right? If you can't be good on your own, then you will always be reliant on someone outside of you to feel good about yourself, or something outside of you to be feeling good about yourself, right? The thing about coronavirus times right now is that it is exposed a lot, right? People are getting exposed. Businesses are getting exposed, right? What can actually make it through the hard times? Yes, having that relationship with yourself, finding your grounding in yourself, but also understanding that when you know your own power, then you also know the power that can arise when you come together with people that are vibrating at a similar frequency, okay? There's just something very powerful that happens. Napoleon Hill has talked about this as being a critical factor of high achievement, right? The mastermind effect. And that is the point at the end of the day. Yes, being a lone wolf is great. You develop that relationship, but that is not the end all be all, okay? Because I thought that it was. And until I actually connected with people, until I came and experienced that mastermind effect for myself, I was unaware of its true power, okay? So with that, I will conclude this video. I hope you got value from it. I hope you got insight from it, because if you are not surrounded by the people that lift you up, that support you, that are allowing you to shine in your creative essence, then you will never truly express what you are capable of, okay? So I will leave you in the peace and power of the one infinite creator. I hope that you're continuing to level up, grow, evolve, and become who you really are, and close the gap between where you are and where you are capable of being, okay? Much love to you. Take care.